Hi, I'm Dr. Eleanor, and today I want to talk to you about the November 5th full moon. It's an important cosmic time for all of us, and it's important enough that all of you ideally are reassured and know what's happening so you can be prepared. So let's get right to it. I'm going to share my screen and show you the charts that I'm looking at and explain what I'm seeing. This is what I call the mandala synthesis. It is the tree of life in the center with chakras. We have astrology on the outside, and we have the hexagrams of the I Ching that are paired with the astrological degrees. The basic system is also known as human design, but I do it as noble energy maps, an expansion and far more complete and scientific perspective than you can get from any one chart, whether it's astrological, a human design chart, or any other kind of chart that uses one calculation. I'm using multiple calculations. I start out here where the precursor to this full moon was in Leo. Strong energy, strong sign, pushing us forward. So over the last 3 months, you may have felt a lot of momentum. Whether or not it manifested is another story, but you've probably felt some internal pressure. Right now, we are getting this full moon right smack in the first hexagram or in Scorpio. And then 3 months from now, we're going to be moving into Aquarius. So that's already telling us that we're coming up to probably the most intense time over this 6 month period. And it's going to be a changing of your consciousness. So I use this, what I call mandala synthesis. And after doing the studies on the human design chart statistically on 45,000 cases, including the statistical and the clinical, I came up with a map that's far more inclusive. So what we see here for the full moon on November 5th, and I did it for 8:19:15 a.m. Eastern Time. I live in Mount Pleasant. I wanted to see what it would be here. So what we see in the noble energy maps is that it is a day when you may feel energized and like you want to manifest. On the other hand, it's also a day when you're going to be picking up a lot of intuitive stuff and energy from people around you, both physically and emotionally. And I'll say more about that because we can see that postnatally, 3 months from now, there's a lot of emotional energy. Um, and it's probably energy that could be reactive, but may also be newly conscious and maybe bringing in a very nice kind of receptivity to other people's points of view. So on the 5th of November, we have a full moon, and we see that from a lunar standpoint, which is the spiritual component, we're very intuitive. And we also see an activation of a path of intelligence in the tree of life that's called the collective intelligence. That's telling you that it's important for you to tune into what's right for you, but also what's right for you as a caring, loving, intuitive person. Use your intuition to know what's right for you. And my famous line is when you know what you know and no one can tell you you don't know. You're not selfish. You're not stubborn. You are aligned. So what we're seeing is a chart that when I move to the composite of that day, which includes the mental world, the spiritual world, the emotional, angelic world, and the physical, biological world, we have a design, a orientation based on the impact of cosmic energies that is pushing us all to be going in the right direction for ourselves. In other words, if you've been thinking about doing something and you've been putting it off, but you feel like you know what's right for you, now is the time to take action. And to take action without concern or fear emotionally. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about whether or not it's the quote right thing to do. What's right for you is aligning internally in a way that allows you compassion and love, which means you must be in a place for yourself of oneness, of ease. If you're not there now and you're hearing this video, what do you need to do to get in touch with what's really right for you? That's so important. And think outside the box. It's a wonderful time to bring in the spiritual component of who you are and of what resonates with you. And there is a lot of support comes in January where you can see that the emotional center is activated, but it's not manifesting. It's not getting to the throat. It is there for you to pay attention to emotional energy and to think how you can transform it into compassion and love. When we look at the astrological chart for this full moon, what you can see is that the ascendant, the rising sign, has Mars and Mercury in Sagittarius. It's a great time for you to be who you want to be, for you to take what's beneath the surface. Scorpio at 13 degrees is where the sun is, and that is on the 12th house cusp. So there's a lot of intensity under the surface for you, and that can manifest over the next 3 months. If on this full moon you're clear on your goals, you're clear on your values, and you're clear on what steps you need to take to accomplish what you want to accomplish. We have Pluto that in the last few months moved fully into Aquarius. And it is coming up to the third house cusp. It's going to take some time, but that's saying that communication is important. And going back over your life, perhaps, and thinking about whose communication when you were growing up touched your soul. I'm a strong believer in being soul oriented and living from soul. It's the name of one of my books, Living from Soul, The Secret to Your Authentic Self. And I talk a lot about the four worlds. And we do live in four worlds. The astrology is divided into four quadrants. The tree of life has the four worlds. So it's very critical for all of us right now to be grounded in our values and to be clear on what we want to accomplish over the next 3 months. I also ran the full moon and its postnatal um, completion. It takes 3 months for manifestation to happen. We play it out over a 3 month period as the noble energy maps show. So I looked at that and I wanted to see how we line up with all of the energies. So look at how the sun currently coming up to this full moon is in Scorpio. And the ascendant, meaning the rising sign in January, is just past. So isn't it interesting? The sun moves about a degree a day. So we're talking here about the way in which we're going to have some days after this full moon to get clear on what we'd like to manifest over the next 3 months. Take the time, do your journaling, be inside yourself. We can see that the values are really important, and there's a lot of psychic energy right now. And that psychic energy is going to be important for you in 3 months. We also see that over this period of time, there's a lot of redefining of who we are, of what we want as a culture, and what we're programming for ourselves and our world. Um, I think you're going to find, and I'm looking at another chart. This is the January chart without the current chart as a biwheel. And what we see is there is so much consciousness being activated in the third astrological house. That house happens to be the core of who we are and how we communicate with ourselves. So, a few keys from me looking at these charts. I'm going to turn off the charts and I'm going to tell you in clear language what you need to do to be balanced and to feel um, aligned within yourself. Uh, be working on emotional reactivity over the next 3 months. Think back in your life to times when you felt the most at one with yourself. And ask yourself, what do I know about that time now? Get some insights, journal. If you ask that question and you write down the question and you let your higher self answer, and I would recommend using a pencil or a pen, whatever you prefer, and a notebook. Uh, Doing something on the computer is not the same as the motion of writing and the kinesthetic aspects that that brings up in your unconscious. So it's very important from this full moon until January to be working with your inner knower and be very clear on what you want to happen over the next 3 months for yourself. Stay focused on your consciousness, your spiritual alignment, your goals, and how they serve not just you, but the collective. We are a collective civilization. What's good for one of us is good for all of us. What hurts one of us hurts all of us. Be conscious, be compassionate, be loving. We can dialogue and have differences of opinion, and those may surface, and you may find yourself in the company of people who are highly reactive. Back away. Do not engage. Ask what you need. Ask what you want. And ask, how can I be of service? How can I help this emotional reaction to move into love and kindness and peace? We're at a very important cosmic time. The values of our civilization are being questioned. The values of who we are as a civilization is being questioned. And we are a peaceful civilization. Let's find the peace within ourselves so we can radiate that peace to everyone around us. That's the message of this full moon. Stay away from people who activate fear, who talk about Three-Eye Atlas as though it could be the end of the world. There is not any of that in the astrological charts. In fact, looking at the recent new moon chart in conjunction with the chart of the United States of America at its founding, it's a reaffirming of values. So be reassured, do your inner work. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, comment in the video, and I'll keep you updated, and I'll keep my views on what's going on regularly posting. Take care. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Let me know any comments.